All right, guys. Title time. Ready?
Yep.
I'm thinking that's Kev 2.
Landing the sticky.
Okay.
Wuhan.
One-eyed snake.
Okay. How about Olympic time travel?
Rumpelstiltskin.
Women, not men.
Big boobies and diesel.
All right. Sounds like we got it. Okay, everybody, break.
Warning. What you are about to hear contains explicit language, adult themes, and potentially disturbing content. The views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts and do not reflect the opinions of anyone else, anywhere, ever, in the history of the world. This podcast is intended for an immature audience and should not be listened to by anyone, anywhere, ever, in the history of the world. You know, fuck it. You've been warned.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Geek Pod. I'm your host, Paul.
I'm Hugh.
I'm Corbs.
I'm Kev.
Guys, what's got you geeked?
Oh, let's see. Well, on Monday, I made a Uzbekian dish called plav. That was pretty good. It was a rice dish. You know, you guys probably wouldn't like it. Tuesday, we discovered there's a Friendlies open in Route 31. I remember what has me geeked. I don't have to watch another episode of The Handmaid's Tale until 2022, at least. I am so fucking happy. I am done with that show for now.
You didn't like it then? Is that what I'm thinking?
No, it's excellent. It's an amazing show. All of you should watch it. But you remember how upset I got with Vikings? Because around the mid to late seasons, they came a point where you hated every character on the show because they were all doing awful things. Kind of like that, except it's really just the main character. And I got to a point where it was, you know, the season ended and I'm like, I hope they fucking rape and kill her. You know, I just hope that everything awful possibly. She's such a horrible human being.
Oh, it just got real dark real fast.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a show about raping and killing. That's why I went there. I wouldn't normally do that, but you know, that's part of the show. So it tracks. No, here's the thing. And if you don't know the background here, the Margaret Atwood novel ends at the end of season 1. So they adapted all the material at the end of season 1. Everything they've done up now through season 4 is brand new shit that they are writing themselves. Now, there's nothing wrong with it, but they've brought the character to a point where, I mean, I even like the bad guys more than I like the main heroine of the show, and it's very mentally exhausting to watch because I know I'm supposed to be rooting for her, and I'm just rooting for more bad stuff to happen to her because I feel like she deserves it now.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that is what has me geeked, as well as if you guys haven't caught it, the show Evil, which premiered on CBS last year, moved to Paramount Plus this year, which was a great move for it because in the very first episode they throw an F-bomb and I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Certainly it's the streaming component of it where they don't have to worry about ratings and such. Is good for a show, a dark show about demonic possession, and it's already been renewed for a season 3. So if you haven't checked out Evil, it's an excellent show. It stars Mike Coulter. So
nice.
You know, we all know him as Luke Cage. Yeah, it's a great show so far. And excuse me, and the one guy from Lost, the one with the glasses who knew everything. He was kind of like the bad guy. I can't think of his name now, but you'll recognize him if you see him. He's in tons of stuff. But yeah, excellent show.
Gotcha.
And that's it.
Bruh, what's
Yeah,
got you
bruh.
geeked?
The Olympics.
Outstanding. I've not been watching. I actually forgot they were on.
I mean, I haven't really watched them. It's just nice that
That's happening.
yeah, it's happening. Because last year it was supposed to happen last year, and obviously because of the Wuhan, it didn't. So, but I mean, I worked from home Monday and Tuesday this week because my aunt who's in town from Virginia and sister went to Clinton. I don't know, someplace up north, whatever it is. I don't give a crap.
There's Clayton and Clinton up north, just so you know.
Okay, it's up on the same ones. Don't really care.
Oh, I'm thinking of Clifton. Never mind.
Yeah.
Clinton is in Syracuse.
Could be the same thing. That doesn't matter. So my mom was over staying at my sister's to watch the cat. All right. So Tuesday morning, I was able to get up, and as I was working, I had on the women's softball game, gold medal game.
Nice.
So I got to watch the women's softball game, which is kind of cool. I like watching the women's softball only because, they're not men. Guys think they should get paid for everything. So that's it. I got to watch. I mean, they lost. They got finished in second for the second year in a row. Softball's first time it's been back in 13 years. Last time was 2008.
Nice.
So they finished second then, and they finished second to the same team they finished second to 8 years ago. So it's pretty cool, though. Yeah.
Outstanding.
I got Monday off for a golf tournament, so
Perfect.
I'm happy about that. So
You can't go wrong with that.
I ain't got much to say.
Well, we will be touching on the Olympics later, Corb. So hopefully you'll have something to add there. I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
Gav, what's got you geeked?
I have not been watching the Olympics. I'm a little bit disgusted with the whole thing, but that's beside the point. No, I don't know. I thought it was going to be the fact that I sold a trailer that I was trying to sell, but that's turning out to be a bit of a shit show. I don't know. Oh, vacation's coming up next week. Going to Maine.
Oh, yeah.
On a motorcycles.
Perfect.
Pretty happy about that.
Now,
Yeah,
when are you
okay.
going next week?
Leave Tuesday.
And you're there through the weekend?
Leave Tuesday, come back the following. Oh, I don't know what it is. It's on the calendar.
So
come back to 10th, I think. I'll take my laptop.
I think we discussed this Saturday a little bit too. Didn't you say you guys are going to be at the other end of Maine while I'm going to be in New Hampshire? So.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be 6 hours from you.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Where you're going to be. We're going to be.
You can't go in the same direction. You halfway.
Right.
Oh, you still friends?
No.
Not that close of friends, apparently.
Paul smells funny.
This is true.
Yeah, so do I right now. That's beside the point. Or maybe that is the point. No, we're going to be up on the coast.
Nice.
Visiting. Our friends that are going with us are going to be going and seeing some of their relatives or friends or something. I'm not sure what it is. I don't really care. It's going to be fun.
Right. Just to get the hell out of town.
Anytime I get a chance to ride my motorcycle, I'm happy.
So when you ride, does your wife go with, does she ride with you?
So she has a machine of her own. She used to ride on the back with me, and she never really wanted to drive her own motorcycle. She had her own license for quite a while, but tried it, didn't really like it, didn't like being on the road, didn't like all the, you got to shift and you got to, the clutch and the brakes and all that. You got to balance. And oh, by the way, there's also a big truck coming right at you. She didn't like all that. So we went and test rode, during COVID, of course, because everybody's losing their fucking minds. We went and test drove a Can-Am Riker. And what that is the smaller version of the Can-Am Spider, which is their three-wheeled call it a motorcycle.
Right.
2 in the front, 1 in the back. That they developed a few years back. They called it a Sportster. They called it a bunch of different things, but it's basically a 3-wheeled motorcycle. And the Spider itself is pretty good size. It's intimidating for somebody that's never really ridden one before. The Riker, however, uses an engine and transmission directly out of a snowmobile. So there's no shifting. It's got forward and reverse. It's got a single brake pedal that handles all 3 brakes at all 3 wheels. Technology built in to keep it on all 3 wheels. So it modulates the throttle and the brakes to keep it on all 3 wheels. So it's very safe. Very peppy, very fun to drive. She loved it from the minute she got on it. We took about a half an hour drive with it, and she bought one a week later. So she rides her own machine, and she's very pumped about it.
Cool.
Yep. Very, very pumped. And I'm happy for her. I mean, we've been getting out longer and longer rides, and she really wants to do this. We got her a new seat and some other things just to make it a little more comfortable for her to ride, and she's really looking forward to it. So
cool.
Be a good time.
Good. Very good. That should be fun. So what's got me geeked is I went late Friday night to see Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins. And I booked my tickets through Fandango, and I just wanted a standard showing. Didn't need IMAX or anything like that. I was on a time crunch for what showing I could get into at this point. It was like a 10:20 at night showing. So I get to the mall, the infamous Destiny USA. We've talked about quite a bit lately. And I noticed when I'm on my way in, it says it's a 4DX theater. Are any of you guys familiar with this? And the two of you that have already heard this story, pretend like you don't. No,
I don't know what it is. I'm sorry.
No clue.
Okay. So I easy there, Gump. Bruh. A 4DX theater. Think a Disney theme park ride where the ones that you have the 3D glasses and everything moves around and you get sprayed with water and that kind of thing. Yeah, they have these in movie theaters now.
What?
Yes. This is how I unexpectedly experienced Snake Eyes. I get in there and the seats look like those high-end gaming chairs. Real kind of sporty looking. And there's buttons on the side of the seat for you to turn the water on or off. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And an ad for it comes up like before the previews, going over the fact that it's a fully immersive experience with environmental factors and blah 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 blah. And they're showing the video where their seats are moving around as the action goes, and one of the things they show is like somebody riding a motorcycle on the screen, and everybody in the crowd is their things going, and they're all doing this like they're driving a motorcycle. So this is what I was in for, and it starts the moment the previews start. And the first preview was for The Rock's new movie Jungle Cruise. Well, as the boat's coming along, the seats start going back and forth like we're rocking in a boat, and then it cuts to a scene where people are fighting, and so now the seats are jumping around and throwing us back and forward. I damn near pitched and rolled out of my seat. I'm not gonna lie, I almost went face first onto the floor. And then we hit a storm with the boat, so next thing I know, water is fucking spraying on us in the theater.
That wasn't water.
Man, it's a good thing you didn't accidentally buy a ticket to One-Eyed Snake instead. That would have been crazy.
I don't think they have them at those theaters yet. But yeah, at the end of every 10 minutes, all of a sudden that's where you get shot in the face. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that super distracting when
I have a question.
Yeah.
So where does the water come from?
There's a small jet on the back of the seat. From Kevin, is that what he It was me.
I was standing in front of you.
Well, it couldn't be in front of me. I could still see the screen. Unless there's something you're not telling us.
I mean, to the side.
Could have been because there was about 7 people in the theater. But it's super distracting because literally throughout every fight scene, and frankly, it's a ninja movie, so there were a lot of fight scenes.
Oh man.
The whole thing is going, and then like lights go off too on the side for like if there's explosions, lights are flashing on the side, wind blows at you, which was really cool for like the motorcycle riding scenes, because then the seats kind of get, you know, vibrating, and then the wind's blowing on you like you're riding a motorcycle, moving fast, whatever. That was cool. But all the jumping around, and if any of you guys have already heard that a lot of people are complaining that all the fight scenes in Snake Eyes use the whole shaky camera thing now. And so you've already got shaky camera going on in the movie, plus the seats jerking you around.
And imagine if you drank too much of that big gulp and you're trying to hold your bladder.
But I did enjoy the movie.
That's where the water comes from.
Right.
How much does a ticket to something like that cost?
I don't know, because I booked a standard showing, which standard showings, by the way, now are going for about $17 to $20 a piece.
What?
Yeah, they're making up for the over the year that you couldn't go to the movies. Yeah.
That's for half an hour. You gotta pay for the half hour.
Per half hour. Yeah. They're waiting for you at the end of the movie to tally up. That's
Yep.
So that's what had me geeked, was seeing Snake Eyes, but I was really disappointed in the experience because it's really hard to concentrate. Plus the weird Infinity Stone thing.
I know you can shut the water off, but can you shut the vibrating seat off and all that?
No, the only thing you can shut off is the water.
Well, if I ever get into Austin, I'm just gonna fucking stand up in the middle of the theater and watch it.
Right?
Yeah, what if you have glasses? You end up with water all over your glasses?
Like I said, it poofs out from behind you, so it's not like it's Kevin standing there pissing on you.
It sure does.
That's a one-trick pony, though, because, I mean, if you're really going to do this, it can't just be water. You got to have dust and dirt and at least a plethora of things that can be thrown at the person watching. Otherwise, you know, it's like, okay, where can we use water in this movie?
Right. No, it's basically water, movement, and like puffs of air, and like a little bit of like dry ice smoke, kind of like a little bit of fog will come out. I don't think this is
and throw shit at you like dust and
right. They should just hire extra people who stand there and wait to just punch you.
Yeah.
Kev, there's your side gig.
All right, rookie, just wait until the fight scene starts. I love this part. On the job training.
Pick me.
I don't suggest going to a 4DX movie.
Well, at some point they're all going to be 4DX movies. You know that, right?
God, I hope not. I really hope not.
How many people could fit in that theater?
It was a full-size theater.
Really? So
yes.
A full-size seat, like they had as many seats?
It seemed like it to me. Actually, the seats seemed a little bit smaller than normal seats. So, I mean, there was full. I think there were 13 to 15 seats per row. And I think there were like 9 rows from the entry back.
So what number theater were you in?
Number 4.
Okay, so it was over on that side. Because I was there. Last month I saw F9. I wasn't in a 4X or whatever the fuck you call it there, 4DX or whatever it was. There was just a normal theater.
No, it was down at the end, almost to the end, like the next to last theater on the end on the right hand side.
Okay. I thought it would have been down where like IMAX and the RPX theater was when you buy your tickets and you head down into the canyon area. No,
this was in the old side.
Oh well.
Yeah. So found it odd. Would have enjoyed the movie better in a regular standard one. That kind of thing is great if you're going to Disney for a 5-minute ride, not for a 2-hour movie. So.
I'll go see it in a regular theater now.
I may. Or I just might wait until September and buy the Blu-ray when it comes out, since they've already announced that's coming then.
So what did you think about the movie? Or did you just take away from too much of it?
I enjoyed the movie. It's definitely not for 45-year-old GI Joe purists, like they change Snake Eyes' story so much to the point that like through 99.9% of the movie, he is unlikable. Like every time there's a choice to make, he makes the shitty choice.
Is that
Like-
why he doesn't talk at the end?
What?
Is that why he doesn't talk at the end?
No, he can still talk at the end, and he shouldn't
No,
be
I
able
understand
to.
it, but he doesn't talk anymore.
They never address that in the movie.
I always thought that he didn't speak by choice.
No, supposedly because in the original telling and all that, comic books and all that, he didn't because he was in a helicopter accident in Vietnam. He basically sacrificed himself to rescue the rest of his squad, and he basically took jet fuel to the face and took serious damage. Yeah. That also why he wore the mask all the time is because he had severe disfigurement.
I know in the comic books, I remember one scene where he took his mask off, and the person across from him was very, they were very taken aback.
Mm-hmm.
So I always figured that he was disfigured somehow, but that was the only scene I've ever seen. All the movies, everything else, nothing else.
They
makes it
never
seem
touched
like
on it. Yeah.
He's, that's the case.
He was kind of designed to be the G.I. Joe universe's version of Wolverine, like the man with no past, very mysterious, that kind of idea.
Mm-hmm.
So in the 4DX theater, did they give you seatbelts for your chair?
No. That's great.
Just wondering.
It's a valid question. It's a valid question.
Was pitched out of the seat. I mean, I was just thinking about that when you were talking about that. I'm thinking somebody's going to get thrown out of that seat, end up on the floor, and sue.
Right.
Oh, there's probably a line on the ticket somewhere that
Yeah.
covers them for that, I'm sure.
Oh, and that's the other part that I forgot. During fight scenes, there's also shit that pokes you in the back, like at the Disney rides. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Kevin also.
It's right before the water sprays.
Right.
The water.
This water is sticky.
I had a big gulp.
I didn't even go to a Spider-Man movie. Why are somebody shooting webs at me? All right. I think that's enough of that. Guys, what are you playing?
I've not had a chance to do any game playing at all.
Same here.
Except I tried to fire up AEW General Manager and my phone is like, go fuck yourself.
Nice. No, I turned that on for about a minute, and I didn't really get much of a chance either. I didn't even get to book a match.
I am so frustrated with Settlers Online and Blue Byte Entertainment and Ubisoft and whoever the hell's got, hands in this freaking piece of crap game. That I went back to a couple of old games I've had on my phone for a long time. One I've been playing for a couple of years now. I play it every once in a while just to keep it going. And the other one I'll play for a while and take it off my phone and play for a while just because it's fun to rebuild it. And the one I've had on my phone nonstop is Dead Trigger 2 from Madfinger Games. It's good action. You run around and you have some really cool guns and you blow away zombies, and it's a just a good time waster to see if I can throw down some more landmines and blow up some more zombies.
Perfect. What's the other one?
The other one, believe it or not, is Fallout Shelter.
Okay.
Yep.
Does it have anything to do with the actual Fallout games?
It does, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's designed to make you pissed off that there isn't actually a Fallout mobile game.
That's exactly its intended purpose. The whole idea is that you get a Fallout shelter. You get one of the
Vaults.
Yep, a vault, and you have to build it.
Nice.
And you have to build it into something that's self-sufficient. You got to keep all your dwellers alive. They can, if you put a man and a woman in a room together, they're going to have a baby. That's how you get more dwellers, or they come in from the wasteland, or you send your dwellers out into the wasteland and they bring back junk and guns and gear and whatever, and you just keep building.
Nice.
It's a fun game to start over again. And I got to the point where I maxed out in it and can't really do anymore. But you can still play. You can still go through the
day-to-day
challenges and
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can still. But nobody in my vault can die because they've all got the best weapons and the best gear, and I mean, the health meters are all fully maxed all the time because they're always fed and watered, and they're all safe, and they always get their stim packs and radaways and all that stuff. So, I mean, you get to a point like that, you're just like, wow, do I keep playing it or start over again?
You don't even care if like 4 death claws get into your vault at that point. Whereas early on, it's like, oh fuck, as they destroy their way through your entire vault.
Yeah. If you there's a trick to it, and if you don't know the trick, you can easily have your entire vault wiped out early on. So if you do a certain thing, I'm not going to say what it is, because if you know what it is, you know what it is. If you don't, then it's fun to figure it out. If you do a certain thing, death claws show up at your door. They break in and they proceed through all the connected vault rooms until there's nothing else to kill. I mean, and they take all your resources, they kill all your people. And the only way to restore your people is to revive them with caps. You have to pay to revive them. And if you're early on, if you're early enough in the game, you don't have the caps, so you can't revive them, and you can't rebuild your resources, and you're done.
Well, come on, tell me what the thing is. I want to know what that thing is.
Radio room.
So if you build a radio room,
there's 2 settings to the radio room. One is you are broadcasting out into the wasteland, and the other one is you're only internal. If you're broadcasting out into the wasteland, you will get new settlers. So it's a way to get new settlers, and every once in a while you're going to get one of the advanced ones, one of the characters from the actual game.
Yeah.
And they always have good perks, right off the bat. So you're hoping for that. What happens, though, is if you're broadcasting out into the wasteland, you call in death claws.
So you shouldn't do that for quite a while until you're stronger.
Right. If you only broadcast internally, it increases the happiness of all the people in your vault. So you end up with better daily bonuses.
Nice.
That game, it is a good game. He's right, but it always makes me mad. Now, I don't know if you've actually played the other Fallout games, Kev. I feel like we're at the point now where they should be able to make Fallout 3 run on a phone. And my God, that would be the last game I would ever need to buy.
I agree.
As far as a phone, I mean, I could play. I still have that installed on the computer to my right. I still play that. It's such an amazing game.
I like New Vegas. I like 3. I never could play 4 because I never had a computer that could do it.
4 was good. New Vegas, I still haven't finished. I have such a hard time getting into the story, even though they say it's the best out of all of them. There's just something about the setting of Fallout 3 that just matches my, I don't know, the things I like. It's right in my wheelhouse. It's a little horror.
Right there with you. And it's another game that I like to restart. I like to just start it over right from scratch. Just take the knowledge you have and, kind of build up a little bit to give yourself a little bit more of an edge. Yep. And there's 2 ways to play Fallout, right? You can burn right through it, burn right through the story and be done. Or you can do all the side quests on your way through the main story. The more side quests you do, the more trouble you can get in, but the more cool stuff you can find. So, and it's really neat. Every time you play, you find something else and you learn something else. And I think it's a really well-built game. And it's another one of those things where you have to learn the nuances of it to be able to really do well.
Yeah, and it's one of those experience games. Like they're the games you play that you remember certain parts for the rest of your life. My first run through on my Xbox 360, finally figuring out that I could use the shotgun right in the face of a super mutant to take it down because they had been destroying me. I found the police station with the super mutants, and I couldn't kill one of them. I was too low level, but I discovered that the shotgun to the face would generally do the trick. But man, I mean, just walking around a corner, opening a door, and there's super mutant, like freaking out, like fuck.
Oh yeah.
It's,
Yep. That game, Fallout 3, and what was the other one? Battlefield. I forget, Battlefield 1942 or something like that, whatever it was. Those games, they have that kind of a memory where, like Hugh said, you walk around a corner and all of a sudden this, Deathclaw or Super Mutant or, a freaking Mirelurk is right there, and all of a sudden he's on you. You get that feeling you're scared, right? Your skin crawls, your hair stands on end. You're like, what do I do? What do I do? Oh my God, I forgot every freaking move on my controller. I don't even know. I can't change guns. I mean, it's that feeling for a game that can give you that. I think it's phenomenal.
I think it's because the world is so well crafted that it draws you in that you forget you're playing a game, and you're actually looking at all of the scattered garbage and the dark corridor you're in and the abandoned police station. Like you, in a way, you feel like you're there. Whereas other games, it's like you're just shooting all the shit and you're just looking for shit to shoot. Here, you're immersed in it.
You are, and there's traps. I mean, you never know, what is that thing that's biting me? Why am I losing health? I mean, there's all sorts of really neat stuff like that. And and if you're wearing headphones, you can really get immersed.
I mean, that would get my vote for, if we were going to do, always do game of the year, game of the decade. Maybe we'll see what else comes out. Maybe it would be on the list for game of the century. I think it's one of the finest games ever made.
Did you ever try Fallout 76 at all? Did you ever get into it at all?
I have it installed and I've tried playing it. And here's the thing. It's not as bad as the review said it was when it first came out. They've changed a lot. But it also almost has that magic. It's there. And they're just, man, they need to do something to bring it back in. I think part of it is that I am having a trouble actually getting the story, like getting into it. There is a storyline you can follow, but they're kind of focusing on multiplayer stuff, but there's still side quests and all that. But Fallout 3 had such a strong story, and the narrative strongly leads throughout the entire game. This game, it's kind of loose because they kind of want you to play it but go do other shit, which is great, except I kind of lose the desire to do other shit. Like I'm wandering around and I don't have that sense of magic. Quite have that sense of magic. I don't know. You should really try it out. It's constantly on sale for dirt cheap. If you get a chance,
I've never had a machine that could play it. So it's around. I mean, it's only going to get, the game itself is only going to get more mature.
Yeah.
So I'll get it someday.
Kind of like us.
That's never going to happen.
No.
The one thing I wanted to put out there about Battlefield was just like Fallout 3, you remember the very first time you're in a tank and you get hit with an RPG or a shot from another tank, because if you're playing with headphones on and you're immersed in the game, when your fucking head starts ringing because that thing hit you and everything freaking shakes and the sound is so loud, you never forget that. That's all I gotta say.
PTSD?
Dude. Nightmares.
Nice. All right. Corbs, what you playing?
Downloaded a game on my phone. It's called Golf Course Tycoon, I think is what it's called. Hang on.
Is that the same one you talked about last week?
Golf Club Tycoon. Yeah, I think it might be.
Idle Golf, something or other?
Yeah, Idle Golf, yeah.
Nice. So you're sticking with that.
Yeah, I got, it's the only downside to it is you have to, I mean, obviously you can pay, like when I download games, I don't put any money into the games.
Right.
I don't spend a single fucking dime on it. Like I have a casino game that I play. I just do the free spins every once in a while. I'll play the new game that comes out. I have a cooking game that I do. Like I don't spend any money on games on my phone. I just don't do it. If it's, in my estimation, if it's something that you're supposed to do, you can do it without having to spend money.
Right.
It take you longer to get to that point, do what you want to get to. So that's the only downside is the idle golf course tycoon thing is you have to wait. Like you open up a new hole. So you start out, one hole and you build the hole up and then you start bringing more money. You get all the way through all the way to the 9th hole and you can host a tournament, but then you got to start building up. But every time you go to the next hole, it's like double the money. So
okay.
So like the last hole I did, I think was 13. It's like 600 million or something like that. So the next one I got to build is like 1.4 or something $billion, and you get, I let it, I'll play it, open it up in the morning when I get up because it runs all night or whatever, and so you get like 20 or 30 million dollars, and you can triple it. There's a little thing that says 3 times the amount. You can get 3 times the amount. You can get up to like $100 million, but it takes a while to get to $1.4 billion. Like I was just playing it maybe 7:30 or so, and I was at like 700 million, and that's from this time Monday night.
Oh wow!
So you don't get a lot of money at times, and sometimes when you're not doing it, people aren't coming to your course. So you log in every once in a while, you get people to come, makes the money. And then they got all these little things on the side. You can double the money for 10 minutes. So you get whatever, if it's $5,000 to play the golf course, and you make $10,000 for 10 minutes. So everybody, they can play on the golf course 2 times faster, stuff like that. You can do all that stuff. So I have everything built up, but I'm just trying to get the last 4 or 5 holes built to see what happens after that. So, but it's like I said, I log in. Usually when I get up in the morning, I'll log in and lunch at work, and then a couple times at night when I'm at home, and just kind of collect the money. And then when you open up the hole, you get to play it, but then you can add in like a bunker and water and trees, and you can build the hole up. So I do that, and every time you put something new in it, you get more money.
Costs you.
Yeah, it costs you, but you also make money when they play the hole too. So
nice.
So
maybe you should make one of the holes a 4DX hole. Can have Kevin out there shaking people as they're trying to putt.
Can I give him a seatbelt?
No, it's not allowed.
Bang
So,
did you just go Sergeant Slaughter on us?
Ooh, I bet he could pull that off too, with the right cosplay outfit.
Maybe for our Halloween episode. That gives me an idea.
Yeah, so that's what I've been playing. So nothing too strenuous.
Nice. All right, so let's roll that right into Kevin's tabletop review. Kev, what do you got to talk about tonight?
Oh man, I saw this the other day, and it came up through Twitter, and I was like, "Whoa, that's freaking cool!" So, been following this Bleeding Cool, whatever it is, website, user, whatever they do. They talk about all sorts of geeky stuff, games and toys and all sorts of neat stuff. And they posted this thing about Carbon Gray, the Carbon Gray TTRPG, tabletop role-playing game. Read you a little synopsis here. It's based on a graphic novel series of the same name. Sets players in a unique alternate history reminiscent of World War I era Europe, but with fantastic diesel punk technologies and elements of the paranormal. In the game, players will explore a war-torn universe filled with mystery, prophecy, and intrigue. The core rulebook is written and overseen by game designer and graphic novelist Andrew E.C. Gaska. Now, he's won a bunch of awards. I don't know what all of these are. UKGE, I don't know what all those are. I didn't look him up. And he's winner for his award winner for his work in the recent Alien RPG from Free League and the lead writer of the Terminator RPG from Nightfall Games. So I've linked out to Bleeding Cool, and the description of the game makes it sound very, very interesting. I mean, a tabletop role-playing game, and it's basically a D6 system. So it sounds relatively, I hate to say this, easy to get into, but it deep enough and interesting enough so that you could get your casual players in there. Plus, you could have a little bit more fun with it if you're more of a interest sort of person. You
All right.
have a deeper interest. But it looks fun. Now it's not out yet. They're launching their Kickstarter August 3rd. So there isn't really anything more than the initial image. And there's a nice box set, a nice board, cards, a bunch of D6 die, and some figures. And it looks like it might even have a game screen for the maybe for the game master.
Yeah, I would assume. Yeah.
Maybe. So
so is it a board or a map? Like a traditional?
Well, that's a good question. It might just be a map. It might not be a board game. This might be more of a map. There isn't a lot of information on it other than what I just. I mean, the second part of this talks about it being a D6 system developed by West End Games.
Okay.
So I mean, that's as far as they go. But they talk about chaos and continuity surges and flux effects. There's just so many neat little things about it, little twists that just make it sound very, very interesting.
Yeah, the world that it's in does sound pretty interesting. And now, have any of you guys heard of this comic book series, Carbon Gray? Neither have I, and I might have to do a deep dive into that and see what that's about. Because that sounds like a really cool setting.
Yeah, Magnetic Press, Carbon Gray. Oh, I'm just looking at it. Oh, you're talking about the role-playing game.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, Diesel Punk. Oh yeah. Welcome to the world of Carbon Gray. This looks neat. Chicks with big boobies.
We lost him.
We lost him to the big boobies and the diesel.
Yeah. Ooh, and Warmex. Oh, and they're talking about the game. There's a better picture of it. Yeah, no, it just 3-panel game master screen, 140 character and item cards, large. Oh, here it is. 24 by 36 world/battle map.
Nice.
There it is. 12d6, 5x stone dice, 5x light dice, 2x wild dice. Custom pips, 8 boards of punch out map tokens, all within a linen box.
Oh, cool.
With sectionalized vacuum tray. Oh, okay. So it's got little places to put stuff.
Nice.
That
sounds cool.
Great. It sounds like these game designers, man, they come up with some really freaking cool shit.
Right. And I'm going to take a wild guess and say next week when that Kickstarter goes live, someone might be doing a little bit more research.
Someone might be actually putting some money down.
Are we pretty soon going to have a Geek Pod tabletop collection?
It's looking that way.
See, there you go. You just got to take it, but it's for the show. We'll have one side that's filled with the tabletop stuff, and the other side is all the ghost hunting gear.
There you go. Man, this looks neat.
All right,
that's all I got. That's all I got.
All right, and we have the link to the Bleeding Cool article, so that will be in the show notes. And on what?
What?
Yeah. Show notes. We do those. Looking at them.
Sure.
All right. I think on that note, I think it's time to jump to commercial, and we'll come back with Hugh's News. Looking for the hottest new comic on the shelf or a key back issue to complete your run? How about that rare statue or action figure that you've scoured the internet looking for? Come to Collectibles Galore. Located in North Syracuse with ample off-street parking, Collectibles Galore has a huge selection of comics, toys, and rare pop culture items you won't find anywhere else. Comics Galore is always buying comics and toys and will give you the fairest price for your collection. New customers get 15% off their first purchase in store. Collectibles Galore for all of your pop culture needs. Stop in and see for yourself why Collectibles Galore is the king of comics.
Now, before Kevin makes Paul ride bitch across the New Hampshire border, here's the news. Now, guys, really, there's only one thing in the news this week, okay? It's the Olympics. That's all that's worth talking about. I know it's kind of a departure, me choosing a sports themed topic for the news, but I think it's appropriate. So that's what we're going to talk. First up, Tokyo Time Lord. Was anybody confused by the fact that this is still the 2020 Olympics? I was watching and I saw 2020 on the side of the stadium and thought, couldn't they have just, painted over the zero? I mean, I guess now I've looked into it and I understand the idea behind it, that they don't want to change the dates of the games so that they have to push them out a year. But I don't recall seeing anywhere in the news. I was actually looking for information on it, and I kept skipping over links that said Tokyo 2020 because I'm like, that didn't fucking happen. But there's nothing under Tokyo 2021. Now, this is going to confuse people in the future generations. I mean, I'm not sure about you guys who have kids, but my kid can't close a door, shut off a TV, or wipe her ass without getting 4 feet of toilet paper wrapped around her head. You really think she will remember the Olympics time traveled one year? She's not the person you want on your team for trivia night, that's for sure. Next up, Toki Prophylactic 2020. Now, I don't know if you've heard about this, but the Olympic Committee decided not to give out the hundreds of thousands of condoms they generally give to the athletes prior to the games. Because, what do athletes do with the Olympics? Okay. You get all of these beautiful, athletic, the peak of perfection people together. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to fuck. Because back at home, they may be happy dating their Rumpelstiltskin boyfriend or girlfriend who, thinks, working out is going to the gym once a week and, trying not to eat fast food every other day. But they get there and we're talking about the peak of perfection, everything they're looking for. These are their people. Just to give you an example how their people this is, it's like Corbs going to a singles mixer at the Baseball Hall of Fame, or Kevin speed dating at a bike convention, or Paul going to plentyoffish.com and putting Fulton, New York in the search bar. These are the people that they belong with. Now, the Olympic Committee has gone to great lengths to make sure that these people aren't having sex. They've even, there are rumors that the cardboard beds there were designed with weight restrictions so that two people couldn't go on it. But, you got to take into account 2 Olympic people, weigh a lot less than, 2 of us. But they say, stand up. They've come out and said now that, no, that wasn't the reason. They can hold more weight. Nobody really knows for sure. But really, I mean, is this going to work? I mean, is any of this going to work? I mean, first of all, they announced it beforehand. So, I'm like, oh, I'm going to the Olympics. I'm probably going to get to have lots of sex. Oh, they're not giving out condoms. Okay, I'll buy some myself. Big fucking deal. I don't know why they thought that was going to work. Now, the only other thing they could have done is announce it afterwards. The athletes were surprised when they got there. The problem was that really only sanctions a new sport in the games. The international pull-out competition would be tough to score. They could probably give points for style, technique, and sticking the landing. But the results could be confirmed for 3 to 4 weeks. I bet there would be a ton of going to the instant replay on that one. Finally, oh, Boober, where art thou? Now, I'm going to take a lot of shit for this. I know I am. People are going to take it the wrong way. They're not going to believe I mean it the way I mean it. But I got to say something, guys. Women's volleyball. I'm talking the beach and the stadium version. What happened to the boobs? Now, I'm not saying that they usually have boobs, and I'm not saying that, girls have to have big boobs to play in the Olympics. I know they're athletes. I know they tend to be smaller. But as I'm watching, I only noticed that the Brazilian beach volleyball team had, somewhat larger size breasts. Now, I'm not saying this because I think that athletes have to be sex symbols and have big boobs. I'm saying it because, do you guys remember high school volleyball? That was the game that even the fat girls could play. It didn't require real long endurance, just bursts of speed. And even if you were big, those strong legs and all that weight in your titties helped you hit that big serve or that spike. All the girls in high school, there were some skinny ones too, but a lot of the larger ones played. Even the goth chick who smoked half a pack a day could play volleyball, Do you guys agree with me? Do you recall this? Okay, that's what happened in high school. What happens between high school and college? Is there an Olympic titty size restriction? Does it have to do with weight restriction on the cardboard beds? I mean, I'm really concerned. Where did all the bigger boob volleyball players go, and do they need help? Paul?
In other news, Baskin Robbins once made a ketchup ice cream. Back to you, Corbs.
Real? Ketchup ice cream, huh?
That's a thing.
That's crazy.
Was a thing.
It's like a poopy flavored lollipop. All right. Well, on that note, I don't know what the hell's going on anymore. All right. So,
Ew.
what, Kev?
That's ew. I got the taste in my mouth. Ugh. I like ketchup, but not
You got the taste in
ice
your mouth.
cream.
Were you at the 40X theater?
Ooh,
Twice.
So you were there for 20 minutes.
wow.
Two 10-minute clips.
I just walk around and see who's got their chair water switched to on.
Oh boy. I don't
Good
know
job.
I don't know how to start this, so I got no clue. All right, so I guess we're gonna do kind of a double feature tonight. I guess is that what you would call it,
Yeah.
or a double feature, or an
Classic double
original-
feature.
an original and a redo.
Okay.
Or
The
something
classic
like
redo.
that. Yeah, something like that. Whatever. We're doing Red Dawn. All right. We're gonna start with the 1984 version of Red Dawn, which, in my estimation, is the better of the two. I hope everybody agrees with that, because if you don't, you're a dumbass. All right, so my first experience with Red Dawn came as a tape rental as an early teen. Okay.
Mhm.
The back of the box proudly boasted of how the movie opened with one of the most shocking sequences ever filmed. Said scene involved communist invasion forced naturally because this was 1984, parachuting into rural Colorado, gunning down civilians left and right, flying rockets at their pickups, and generally taking over their podunk town. Most shocking movie opening ever? I wouldn't say that. Most ridiculous, though? Maybe.
I mean, nowadays, if communists parachuted into a Podunk, Ohio, they'd be like, hey, here's some free health care for you. Here's some free health care for you. It's not the scary thing it used to be.
No, it's not.
So let me throw this at. Yeah.
And if they parachute into a podunk town in the middle of nowhere, they'd probably get shot because they all got guns. I mean,
This is true.
So I'll just throw this little piece of history at you. Me and several of my friends at this time, I mean, knowing that we were going to graduate in 3 years after this, we're already talking about what we were going to do after high school, and we were all signing up for the military. Marines, I was Army, buddy of mine was Navy. We were all going in. And when this movie came out, we're like, fuck yeah, hoser. That's me right there.
I can see that from you, Kev. All right, so the 1984 Red Dawn opening, very memorable, very 1980s, enter into the action, which combined the Cold War paranoia, teenage angst, and a Stallonian level of gun violence into a kind of Lord of the Flies with heavy weapon. It's helmed by John, I hope I pronounced his name right, Milius, Milius, Milius,
Milius.
I guess, something like that.
Let's ask him.
Well, I'll call him up later.
Okay.
He was the writer of Apocalypse Now and directed Conan the Barbarian, Schwarzenegger style. The movie follows a group of high school football players that narrowly escape a full-scale Soviet invasion of the United States by camping out in the mountains outside of town. Eventually tiring of hiding out, the boys and two young ladies who join them later fight back, transforming from innocent youth, into a crack squad of guerrilla fighters, dubbing themselves the Wolverines after their high school team mascot. They proceed to kill a bajillion Soviet soldiers in surprise attacks and become the face of the American resistance. The whole premise feels even sillier than when you're watching the film, especially as none of our younger handsome heroes grow the least bit stubble while living in the forest for months, and handle handle pilfered grenades, machine guns, and RPGs like a bunch of adolescent John Rambos. It would never have worked had it not been for the movie's incredible young cast, who were all hired as their stars were just about to begin to rise. Led by Patrick Swayze, his outsider co-star C. Thomas Howell, playing his blood-crazed buddy. Also, part of their high school hit squad was Charlie Sheen in his first significant role, Leah Thompson, pre-Back to the Future, Patrick Swayze's eventual Dirty Dancing co-star Jennifer Grey. The kids eventually conveniently conveyed the sort of shell shock that the end of civilization as you know it, and of course, single-handedly killed dozens upon dozens of enemy combatants would bring about. The supporting cast is absurdly good, too, with Harry Dean Stanton, Powers Booth. I'm not sure who Ben Johnson and Ryan O'Neal are. They all show up in small parts. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a great movie. I know I have a pretty good conversation about this movie. I mean, it had the Cold War. I mean, it was, at the time, it was a movie where the Cold War was in full swing. Like Kev said, I mean, you know, at that time, you didn't really know about the whole Cold War. I mean, it wasn't really talked about. It was becoming more prevalent at the time, but I just think that it's kind of a movie that touches on that teenage rebellion, fighting back, family, camaraderie, stuff like that, all kind of comes into play in this movie. I enjoyed the movie. It's on, I think it's on Hulu right now. So I give it, 3 to 4 stars. So, and then I'll touch on the what is called Red Dawn redo, because they remade the movie. It doesn't pack as much punch as the first one. Chris Hemsworth stars as Jed, which is the character Patrick Swayze made famous. Josh Peck is the Charlie Sheen character. Josh Hutcherson from Hunger Games is the C. Thomas Howell character. They don't match up quite as well. I mean, Chris Hemsworth does play a pretty good lead in it, but again, he's not the same. It's not the same. And even the enemy. I mean, the enemy at the time for 1984 was the Soviets, and the one in 2012 was North Korea. And I think they were kind of trying to push that, because that was the big, Kim Jong-un and all that stuff was going on right at that time. They were I think they tried to kind of push it. From what I can remember, it almost, from when I read, I do have it here in my notes, that originally they were supposed to be Chinese that invaded, and they digitally re-imaged them as North Korean, because they didn't want to lose the Chinese market for movie sales.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, is that where we've gone now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we censor our movies for the Chinese. That's a thing.
So,
It's a huge thing. I mean, they'll put, like, there will be special cuts of movies for the Chinese, like one of the Iron Man movies. They put in some nationally recognized celebrity from China into the movie for the Chinese version. I think it was Iron Man 2 or Iron Man 3.
For Shang-Chi, they're all concerned now because China, just based on the previews, doesn't want to show it, and Disney's
Really?
shitting their pants because I mean, you need China now
That's
to hit $1
huge,
billion.
yeah.
I just realized, of course I had to look it up, but I just realized that there is a actor in Red Dawn, the second one.
Yep.
The pretty phenomenal actor, played the role of Sergeant Major Andrew Tanner, one Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan is in it. Yeah, he's in the redo one. Yep. He basically plays the Powers Booth character from there.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
So I mean, for me, I mean, I can liken back when I watched the the remake, I can liken back the characters to the characters from the original. And, you know, like you're going to do with anything, you're going to compare the two movies.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I loved the first movie. I mean, it was, at the time, it was so well done and well thought out that, you know, it made you, like Kev said earlier, it made you almost want to join the armed services. I was too young at the time to do that, but, you know, it gave you a sense of patriotism in my mind.
Yeah.
Just watching that movie. I mean, it's almost like somebody coming into your backyard, which is basically what it was.
Yeah.
And telling you this is the way it's going to be. You're not going to stand for it. You're going to stand up and you're going to fight back. That's what this movie was all about, was the fighting back against communists and being held down by the man.
The original movie is what a lot of people in the prepper community now refer to as what got them started thinking about being preppers.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that too.
Man, and for me, it was Walking Dead.
Why not? Why not? Because when the dead walk, you know,
There's no more room in hell.
There's never a room in hell.
I thought there was always room in hell. You just swim in
Hey,
the
that's
infinite
what
sea of fire.
the Dawn of the Dead poster said.
Oh, Dawn of the Dead. Right.
So I mean, I don't like the cast from the first movie, and like I said, you know, Patrick Swayze, Charlie Sheen, these guys all before they became stars. It's before Dirty Dancing, before Back to the Future.
Yeah.
You know, it's just all these that young ensemble cast. I mean, you liken it to The Breakfast Club, St. Elmo's Fire, just the cast, and that to me, I mean, it's like the Avengers now. You have this big group of characters now. Avengers, you had a lot of guys that are bigger stars. These guys weren't stars, and they did a lot of that stuff in the 80s. They hired people that weren't famous. I mean, if you think about Star Wars, I mean, Harrison Ford wasn't a big name at the time. In fact, he really wasn't even acting at the time. He had just done American Graffiti. He was actually working as a carpenter.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Hamill wasn't real known. Carrie Fisher wasn't real known. I mean, they did these things, and these people, these movies became big, and they became bigger stars.
Yep.
Now you've almost got to make money. You got to have Tom Cruise in your movie, or Will Smith in your movie.
And that's really too bad. I mean, because you need new blood. You need fresh. I mean, that's the one thing I'll say that Kathleen Kennedy did for Star Wars. She brought in some new blood.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of people don't like her, don't like what she did, but we have some new people that, you know, we care about.
And that can carry on the franchise.
Yeah.
You know. So, but I don't know. I really like that Red Dawn, the original.
Yep.
Matter of fact, I mean, when I saw it was on Hulu, I was like, oh, I got to watch that again.
Yeah,
And then I saw that the remake was on there too, and I'm like, okay, I can watch either one of them. All right, well, I'm going to watch the original because it's just so much better because of the time. I mean, it maybe doesn't hold up much anymore because we don't have that animosity with Russia anymore like they did at that time. And I think that was the reason why that movie was so good and so well done. There was that huge animosity between the two countries, and it played well into that fear that, hey, this could happen. These people could show up in the middle of this country and rip this country in half.
So it was propaganda.
Yes.
Yeah. Basically.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think, like Kevin was saying, after that, I think there was a rise in enlistment. So it worked out well for the country at that point. So propaganda is definitely what it did. It made people want to join the military.
Yeah, so, I fully believe that. I mean, you know, I was already on my path, but I know for a fact that a lot of people that I was in with were, you know, they cited this movie as something that they remembered and wanted to make sure it never happened to their hometown.
Right.
watching this movie, I mean, you see these actors, and I mean, they're young, they're early into their careers, but you look at them and you're like, you remember everything else they've done since.
Yep.
By rewatching the movie, I mean.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, the stars in this movie, but like you say, they weren't stars yet.
Right.
But yeah, I rewatched it every time it's been on TV, and I've never really gone out and looked for the movie, but I think I will now.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love that movie.
I have not seen the remake ever.
I've seen it a couple times. I don't really care for it. It's not.
Yeah, it's not as good. Like I said, it's even the fact that they switched locations. I mean, the first one was in Calumet, Colorado, and then the second one was in Spokane, Washington. The fact that it was in some real like podunk town in the middle of Colorado made it even that much more better. Much better, because it was the middle of nowhere. I mean, Spokane, Washington is a big city.
Yeah.
It'd be like them dropping into LA or San Francisco. The fact that they were able to get, in the original movie, they were able to get to Colorado and land there and basically split the country in half. They talk about that Western Front, but if you remember when Powers Booth is talking, they did come from the other side too. In the middle, I think there's like I want to think he said from like North Dakota to Alabama or something, and then I think it's Minnesota to Alabama or something like that is like free America. So they split the country in half, and everybody in the middle was still technically America, and on the outsides it wasn't. So, and you had they pushed in from Cuba, came in from the Florida area and Mexico and all that stuff. So it's just, it was at the time, it was, it basically was one of those things where it kind of scared you and thinking, holy shit, is this actually going to happen? Is this what we've come to between us and Russia? Are they planning something like this? So.
There's another movie, something, it's kind of along the same lines. I mean, it's not an invasion that happened to the U.S. It's more along the lines of an alternate ending to World War II.
Okay.
Man in the High Castle.
It's a series, not a movie, but yeah.
You're right.
Prime,
You're
right? Yeah.
You're
I think you've talked about it before, Hugh.
On Amazon Prime. You want to talk about a United States divided. When you said that, it's the first thing I thought of, is this series. It's phenomenal. It's a great story, a little bit of sci-fi mixed in,
Okay.
So it's nice. Well, I mean, it's all fantasy, right? Because it didn't happen that way, or maybe it did, and we just, we're in a different timeline. But oops, did I just give something away?
All right, so reviews. This is another one where our buddy Ebert didn't review the original. This one is from the New York Times, and our other really good friend, Janet Maslin, from August 10th, 1984. She says, to any sniveling lily livers who suppose that John Milius, having produced Uncommon Valor, directed Conan the Barbarian, and written Apocalypse Now, has already reached the pinnacle of movie-making machismo, a warning. Mr. Milius's Red Dawn is more rip-roaring than anything he has done before. Here is Mr. Milius at his most alarming, delivering a rootin' scenario for World War III. She's really over the top. The place, a small all-American town. The time, sooner than you think, mister. A history teacher is telling his class about Genghis Khan when he looks out the window and sees enemy parachutists landing. We learned from a 15-second preamble that the United States has lost all its allies and that the Soviet Union is badly in need of food. Soon enough, we see, beneath a bumper sticker that says, they can have my gun when they pry it from my cold, dead fingers, the corpse of an American citizen being relieved of his weapon by an invading soldier. In Calumet, Colorado, where the action takes place, a band of brave high school boys heads for the mountains, taking with them bows and arrows and lots of Coca-Cola. They hide out for a while, initiating themselves in the ways of the wild. drinking the blood of a deer they kill, for instance, or urinating into the radiator of their truck when it runs out of water. Eventually, they are ready to infiltrate Calaimit's main street, and what they see there is horrible. The citizens have been rounded up in a detention camp, which used to be the local drive-in. The drugstore supplies are so depleted that there's only one lone bottle of Charlie on the shelves. I don't know what that means. The movie theater is playing Alexander Nevsky. The band of teenagers, calling themselves the Wolverines after their town's football team, and joined by two girls whose grandfather refers to them as my heirlooms, begins a guerrilla war against the invaders, some of whom are Cuban and Nicaraguan. The rest of the film follows the course of this fateful struggle and is confined to Calumet, with only occasional news bulletins from Free America, as much of the country is now known. An outsider the kids encounter tells them what's happening in Denver, for instance. They live on rats and sawdust bread, and sometimes on each other. This same outsider asks, "Who's on our side?" By one Wolverine replies, 600 million screaming Chinamen. "Last I heard there were a billion screaming Chinamen," the Wolverine answers. "There were," is the grim reply. Red Dawn, which opens today at the National and other theaters, may be rapidly inflammatory, but it isn't dull. Mr. Milius does know how to keep a story moving. He might well have turned this into a genuinely stirring war film if he had not also made it so incorrigibly gung-ho. But the effectiveness of its chilling premise from a story by Kevin Reynolds is dissipated by wildly excessive directorial fervor at every turn. Those who consider the events set forth in Red Dawn to be probable are no more apt to find the movie credible than those who regard them as ludicrous. The cast of Red Dawn has obviously been through a lot. The production notes, quote, John Early, technical advisor, as saying that the actors were taught military discipline and combat techniques, and that we took them out into the hills and ran them from sunup to sundown. They also had a lot to contend with in the screenplay by Mr. Reynolds and Mr. Milius, which is hard-bitten enough to be virtually unplayable at times. Powers Booth, who delivers those bulletins from the free zone, must also declare, when asked what his wife was like, "I met her in a closet at a party. Couldn't stand her at first, but once it took, I loved her so bad it hurt." Mr. Booth does a good job anyway, and so does Ron O'Neill as a Cuban commander leading the Calumet occupation. Ben Johnson and Harry Dean Stanton appear very briefly. Mr. Stanton to shout, "Avenge me! Avenge me!" from behind the barbed wire at the drive-in. The young players, among them Patrick Swayze, C. Thomas Howell, and Leah Thompson, are adequate but less memorable. Yeah, that didn't age well. Their roles consist mainly of carrying out small-scale military maneuvers and reacting to such awful spectacles as the image of a band of Calumet citizens being executed by a firing squad. They sing America the Beautiful just before they're shot, but their patriotism is not in question, and the movie might have been a little less overbearing without the song. Red Dawn is rated PG. It contains considerable violence, most of it not very explicit. And then they had to publish a correction the next day because the film is actually rated PG-13. I do have the review from Ebert about Red Dawn 2012, but the general consensus is nobody likes it very much, so why bother with it?
She missed the mark, I think.
It sounds like it, yeah.
I don't know. She was trying really hard. I mean, the opening of that, I mean, it sounded like she was going to land the sticky with that review. I got to ask, though. So they parachute in. Were they parachuting in like in the middle of the country, or they already come from the sides? Because I'm thinking, I mean, you can't just go into the middle of the country because all the armed forces around you. I mean, you kind of have to come from the sides, but no army can possibly pack enough food to get through all of Pennsylvania without running out. So I just don't see how that's going to work.
I think if they allude to a massive invasion that happened all at once.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking it was supposedly like a coordinated effort.
Yeah.
Is where I was getting with that.
So what was happening in that town was the same thing that was happening in all small towns all at the same time.
I'm imagining a truck full of Russians going, "Do these mountains ever fucking end?" You know?
You just keep going up.
Right. All right. That was a good one. It spurred on quite a bit of conversation there. Awesome.
I gotta ask Kevin something.
What?
why are you mad at the Olympics? I wanted to ask you, but I didn't have a chance in the news segment because we ran right into the movie review. You seem very pissed off. Why is that?
It's a longer conversation. I'm not doing it here.
He doesn't want it on air. Okay,
All right.
that's fair enough.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No. I mean, I'm more than willing to do it, but I mean, you're looking at another hour and a half of conversation.
Holy shit. Okay, never mind.
He's like, nope, forget it. Text me.
I'm total. I'm right with.
He's speechless.
I have concerns, and I am willing to voice them. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it to break. We'll come back and finish this thing up.
All right.
Stick with us, folks. As soon as I can find the. Looking for the hottest new comic on the shelf or a keyback issue to complete your run? How about that rare statue or action figure that you've scoured the internet looking for? Come to Collectibles Galore, located in North Syracuse with ample off-street parking. Collectibles Galore has a huge selection of comics, toys, and rare pop culture items you won't find anywhere else. Comics Galore is always buying comics and toys and will give you the fairest price for your collection. New customers get 15% off their first purchase in store. Collectibles Galore for all of your pop culture needs. Stop in and see for yourself why Collectibles Galore is the king of comics.
Going.
All right, we are back. And the first thing I want to touch upon is the brand new trailer that just hit for Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Fuck yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
You're oddly quiet, Hugh.
No, it was great. Now, full disclosure, I had missed it, so we took a break and I just watched it. Honestly, the way you guys hyped it up, I was expecting a little more. The first half of that we've already seen in the trailers. The second half definitely looks cool. I like the whole, the why am I forgetting the name of those stupid demon dogs coming out of the Walmart? That was awesome.
Yes.
Definitely got some more horror elements there. I thought I'd seen online that both Aykroyd and
Murray
appeared in that trailer, which is part of the reason I wanted to watch it earlier today, and it slipped my mind. I mean, we know he's in it.
He's in it. So obviously Annie Potts is in it.
Fucking Annie Potts. I love Annie
I read
Potts.
Rick Moranis is supposed to be in it too, right?
Is he?
Is he?
Yeah, I think he's supposed to be in it too. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like the original, the only one that's not going to be in it is Harold Ramis because he's
Yes, because he's passed. Yeah.
Now it's the original director.
Yeah,
It's his son, right?
It's son.
Or it's the son.
I haven't read
It's
the
son,
son.
yeah.
It's his son. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Now, if there ever was an argument for using software to recreate an actor for something, for this particular franchise, it would make sense for them to have Egon come back as a ghost.
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And that will be a missed moment if they don't do something with that.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of people like, oh, I don't know if it's if appropriate in this franchise. It's probably one of the few times it's totally appropriate.
Yes.
Just my opinion.
I just think this trailer, in the way that they're doing it, the set, today or future, whatever you want to call it, I guess it is today because, the movie was quite a while ago. So it could be, his granddaughter, Egon's granddaughter. And I just think doing it this way is exactly the Ghostbusters we want. It's exactly the Ghostbusters we need.
It definitely looks good. If they're trying to franchise this, I question maybe the choice of the kids they chose. I mean, because the one kid, Finn, is it Finn something? I don't know.
Finn Wolfhard. Yeah.
Wolfhard, yeah. I mean, he's got so much going on. Is he? I mean, because of Stranger Things, I almost wonder if maybe they should have gone with some unknowns for the younger cast, so it'd be easier to keep going with the franchise.
Right.
But I mean, Paul Rudd, come on.
Yeah.
Anything
he fits in that. He's going to be perfect in that.
Yeah. I was surprised to see him in there, but that's it. Yeah, I agree with you. Good fit.
So I'm definitely excited about it. Yeah, don't take my reaction as not being excited about it. I think you're right. This is the movie we should have gotten before.
Mm-hmm.
Although I got to be honest, I like the Ghostbusters, the female remake. I thought it was great. I thought it was hilarious. I knew it wasn't really Ghostbusters, but I mean, just the gender flopping of the secretary and having Chris Hemsworth in there, that was totally that. No matter what else they put on either side of those scenes, I was gonna love the movie just for that because it was perfect.
The cast was fantastic. I mean, the people they picked for the movie, I mean, it's a winning cast, no question about it. But it just was so
again, not what the fan base wanted. Is what it comes down to. Yeah.
Not what I wanted.
I have not seen that one yet. That's another one of those movies that I own digitally. Just I haven't watched it yet. I intend to at some point.
We should have a viewing.
Everybody gets down on it, and I think it's just because of all the negative reactions. But remember, a ton of that was fake too, and there are people who didn't go to the movie just because of the shit they heard about it. If you take it on its own, it's not a bad movie. It's just that, if you were, I mean, it's wrong for us to be like, ew, I don't want you mixing up your girls and my boy things. I mean, that's really what it came down to. And great movie. I mean, we've seen far worse, shittier reboots than that. Yeah. Far worse.
Red Dawn.
Yeah,
mm-hmm. There you go.
So bad I've never seen it.
Same here.
Yeah, everything you've heard about the remake of Red Dawn is true. By the way.
Right. You can quote us on that one.
I think the only one of the places that movie really stumbled for me was as cool as the idea of proton pack, brass knuckle type shit was, that because they had all new weapons. Each person had their own personalized weapon. As cool as the idea was, it was kind of stupid because it's not going to work. I mean, I know, using in reality in a Ghostbusters movie is a loaded term, but seriously, in that reality even, I mean, that's a good way to blow your fucking hands off.
Okay, that's fair.
But it looked really cool on screen. I mean, if you've never seen it, Paul, imagine Kung Fu fighting ghosts. That's the kind of shit that was in that movie.
Interesting. No, like I said, it's in my Voodoo account. It's another one of the many movies that I just have not gotten around to watching yet. I'll check it out at some point. And is it appropriate for the kids? Is there anything questionable or intense really in them?
Intense, maybe. I don't recall there being anything questionable.
No, you're talking about the first, the originals?
No. The originals I would definitely let my kids watch.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. To be honest with you, I have not seen the all girl. I've seen bits and pieces of the all girl cast Ghostbusters. It's on FX or whatever every once in a while.
Nice.
Kind of bits and pieces of it or whatever. So I've never seen it from start to finish. So I got nothing on it.
Oh man, so you don't have any idea what I'm talking about with Chris Hemsworth then? When I say
I've seen him in it, but just him
basically, you know how the Ghostbusters hire Janine because they're completely inept and they can't get anything done, and she kind of holds them together.
Yeah.
It's the opposite. They hire Chris Hemsworth because he's attractive and he's a complete moron and does everything wrong. But no matter how bad he does stuff, he says something cute and they're all like, oh. But it's so funny because he's so damn stupid and he's completely oblivious to it. He thinks he's doing the best job ever.
That's great. That was in that same time period where they were throwing him into all sorts of weird ass roles. Like he was in the reboot of National Lampoon's Vacation.
Yep.
Yeah. And again, he was just like
What?
this vapid, like meathead. And
Yeah.
there was one scene with him in his underwear or something. I don't know. Anyway.
It's like throwing Chris Pratt and everything, and Chris Evans and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think anyone's throwing Chris Evans in anything, and they haven't.
Not right now. That's for sure.
Yeah.
No, that was his whole thing about stopping with the Avengers is he needed a break, right? Like
Yeah,
he was
but
just
I mean, he also picked his projects like Snowpiercer and shit like that. You know,
Mhm.
he wasn't being, at least from my perspective, he wasn't exploited like those other guys were. Wow,
I
what
wanna
a
be
strange
exploited.
thing to say.
I want to be exploited.
Go to the 4DX movie.
yeah.
Been there, done that.
All right. So let me reference here, make sure I'm not missing anything on my list. So do you guys have any other topics before we get into midstream? All right. I'd like to go first. I decided on my birthday, the whole house was in bed. And so I decided to throw on one of the DC animated movies that I'd been looking forward to for a while. That was Batman, A Death in the Family.
How was it?
Super disappointing.
Really?
Yeah, because the whole Death in the Family story arc was all of about 5 minutes of it, and then the rest of it was basically a rehash of the Batman Under the Red Hood.
I don't remember if I watched the Death in the Family or not.
Well,
I
I didn't assume. As I understand it, like on the original release, like if you watch it on Blu-ray, it's kind of a choose your own adventure thing, and you can change how the story is told. But obviously, you can't do that on HBO Max. It's just a straight storyline, like it was out of the comic. But they literally push through it in 5 minutes, and then the next 25 minutes, which is the entire runtime for it, is the rest of Jason's story, which isn't.
Wow.
I mean, they already covered all of that in Under the Red Hood.
Yeah.
So I was super disappointed with it. And then the rest of the full runtime for the movie length are all the DC Showcase shorts.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awful. I watched The Long Halloween Part 1 today.
How is that? I wanted to see that.
It was good. I know that the second part has like a MA or an R rating or something like that. It's worth watching. I'll tell you, I really got pulled out of it a lot by Jensen Ackles as Batman.
Really?
Because as excited as I was for his casting, because Jensen Ackles is awesome. Hearing Dean Winchester every time Batman talks is fucking weird. And I really, you can tell that this is the first time he's playing Batman, because even when they replaced Kevin Conroy with what's his face, the other guy that's been doing the voice.
I can
I'm sure
see
somebody-
him.
Yeah, so not Jason. Anyway, he did a great job. He actually had like the pacing and everything for Batman down. If they keep Jensen, I'm sure he'll get that pacing down, but it doesn't feel like he has it now. So the Batman delivery is a little weird. But other than that, I mean, it's a good movie. I really have to watch the second part to really review the first part, because it's one story. And I was waiting because, part 2 came out today.
Oh, did it?
Or yesterday. So yeah, I've been waiting to watch part 1 until part 2 was out, because I didn't want to watch half a cartoon. I don't want
Right.
cartoons off there anyways.
Oh, I want to see that. And that's not on HBO Max yet. I was looking for it and I couldn't find it. At least
they,
as
they,
of,
they want to sell copies, I'm sure.
which makes sense. I get that. So, and Kevin, wasn't there something that you streamed that you wanted to discuss? The one that you just told me about before we started recording?
Yeah, I'm more than happy to talk about that one. I'm surprised you skipped over that other item. But yeah, I'll tell you all about.
Come back to the other one.
All right, I'll tell you all about Gunpowder Milkshake.
What is this?
Well, it's on Netflix, and we just happened on it one night. And 2021 release. Karen Gillan, Lena Headey, Carla Gugino. I have it loaded here, or I did. Oh, I lost it. There's a good,
gone.
yeah. It's a good cast. It's a good cast. Lena Headey is better known
Cersei.
as Cersei from from
Game of Thrones.
From Got. It's okay, sunshine. Relax. You're okay. You can lay down. It's fine.
Man, the relationship you have with your wife is beautiful.
Yeah. She's headbutting me right now. That's great.
I want to see a doctor about that.
She's rubbing her cheeks on my arm. She won't quit. It's really good. It's packed with action. Read this little synopsis here. When an assassin veers off mission to rescue a child, she triggers a war with a powerful crime syndicate and reunites a gun-wielding sisterhood.
Nice.
It really reminded me of Kill Bill in a lot of ways, but less bladed weapons, more firearms. But a bit of mysterious femininity and some feminine badassery. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Nice.
Definitely worth a watch. I wouldn't go out and say you gotta watch it, but man, it was fun for an evening when we were really expecting it.
Okay. And Kevin, on my I would say recommendation, but I would say incessant nagging. Finally watched another movie that I've been telling you we needed to watch. What was that, Kev?
Oh, that would happen to be Clerks by Kevin Smith.
Oh. And
I watched the whole thing.
Just the way he's like, I watched the whole thing. And
I mean, is it the rampant childishness of it that makes it so, endearing?
Paul?
I don't know.
That's what I like about it is it's I've always said that Kevin Smith has built his career on dick and fart jokes. That's
exactly what it was. There was some pretty raunchy shit. You boils right down to it. I wasn't expecting that, but whatever. It's Kevin Smith. What if you're not expecting it? Silent Bob. I expected him to be silent the whole movie, and he wasn't. That kind of surprised me. Spoiler alert. Sorry if you haven't seen it.
He's like 30 years old. It's okay.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, your own fucking problem.
Yeah, I think part of the magic there too is basically an independent film. He got together with a bunch of his friends and financed it himself, and it managed to make it despite all odds. I think that you have to view it through that lens a little bit.
So when you say it made it, what do you mean by that?
Meaning it turned into a cult movie that was big enough for him to go on and do Hollywood movies and still prepare to film Clerks 3 in 5.5 days next month. Really, when you think about it, you look at it now and you're like, that movie is kind of shitty. But look what came from it. We go from there, eventually get to Dogma, which is one of my personal favorite movies of all time. It's packed full of huge stars and it's fucking great. It's the start of something great.
Well, I have every intention to see, Clerks 2 and Dogma. I'm definitely gonna.
Oh, you're gonna love Dogma.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch the rest of it. I'm not sitting here saying I didn't like it. It had some funny parts. It had some, kind of smack your head parts, like, why is the guy such a douchebag kind of thing. And it had you really understanding that, some guys really do think trailer trash sluts are the shit. Whatever, to each his own.
Now, big question here. And Corbs, have you seen Clerks? Did we have this discussion? Because I don't remember.
I've seen Clerks. Is
Okay.
that the question you just asked me?
It is. Yes.
So you're asking a movie guy if he's seen Clerks.
I mean, I think it's a fair
That's what it
assessment.
sounded like.
All right. So with his response, yes, he's seen it. Okay. So I'm going to ask everybody. I want to go around the virtual table here and ask everybody. I'm going to start with Kevin since it's so fresh for him. Favorite character coming out of Clerks?
Favorite character? Oh, the guy that died in the bathroom. Are you serious? Did you see that guy?
Okay.
Are you kidding me? I mean, it was like that. Forever. Yeah, that guy.
Okay. I wasn't expecting that, but
Dude,
Hugh?
he died and still banged the chick.
yes.
Always Silent Bob.
All right. Corbs?
I got to go with Jay.
Oh. Okay. All different answers. I wasn't expecting any of that.
Is
And
Jay
yours
the
is
guy
going to
that
be
was with-
Dante. Wait, is it? No. Who is it, Paul?
Who's Jay? Was Jay the video
Silent
store
Bob's guy? No.
Yes, it was next to Silent
Jay's
Bob.
the drug dealer.
clerk? Jay's the drug dealer with Silent Bob.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Hugh, to answer your question, my favorite character throughout those movies is Randall Graves.
Yeah. That's why I
Randall?
stopped myself. I was like, no,
Really?
it's got to be Randall.
Yes, I love Randall.
He's a douchebag.
Yes.
Have you met Paul?
Paul doesn't even
It's all
come
starting to
close.
make.
Well, I appreciate that as well. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I identify with the whole wishy-washiness of Dante. Like, I get that, but oh my God, Randall is just the fucking greatest. Like the one line, and you haven't gotten there yet, that he says in Clerks 2 encapsulates everything. I hate everybody, and I think everything is stupid. Like, that says everything to me. Like, that speaks to me. And I mean, that fits for me. And he is my favorite. He has most of the best lines in any of the movies he's in. And the just whole I don't give a fuck attitude out of him is phenomenal.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I'm catching what you're throwing.
And you get to see a lot more of who he really is in Clerks 2. You won't see him in any of the other movies. He only shows up in the Clerks movies.
Oh,
So
what about Dante? Is he in all of them?
nope. Halloran, the guy that plays him, is in the rest of the movies. He plays other characters. It becomes kind of a running gag through them. Like, they're all Hicks, not like isn't it like a hayseed like Gorsh, but they're all, because his name is Dante Hicks. And then Mallrats, we get Gil Hicks, and then in Dogma, I don't remember what his name is, but he's the news reporter in Dogma, and he's also a Grant Hicks. It's so sad that I can remember all of that.
So he plays himself and all of his relatives.
Yes. Yeah. And you have to that's a lie. You don't really have to watch anything in order other than the clerk specific ones. Obviously Clerks and Clerks 2.
Oh, okay.
But there is a timeline for them. And technically Mallrats is the first one.
Yeah.
Mallrats takes place a day before Clerks.
I thought Mallrats was a cartoon.
No.
No,
Oh,
No.
no, Mallrats.
well, I guess I need to watch
Mallrats takes-
Mallrats. Huh?
Mallrats takes place on them all.
They're also making a sequel to that at some point.
I heard that too.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Corbs, have you been streaming anything? Now that we derailed that?
Watched. No, I mean, I started watching. I noticed that Titans was on TBS, so I watched the first 2 episodes of that. A little hard to follow for me right now.
They
Is
do
it
kind of
Our
drop you in the
Titans?
middle of it. Yes.
Our Titan. Okay. Aren't they editing it for TBS?
I'm sure they are.
Yeah. That
They
could be
have
part-
to. Because Dick Grayson's best line from the entire first season has to be chopped out of that in there. Unless they just bleeped it.
What did you say? First episode, second
What was
episode?
the line?
First episode. It's when he's beating up the crooks in the alleyway, and they're like, "Oh shit,
Oh.
Robin's here. Batman's got to be here somewhere." And they pull up tight on him, and he just says, "Fuck Batman."
Right.
Doesn't say anything.
Yeah, I figure they must have cut that.
Great. I'm watching the dumbass version.
Yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
you have to watch it on HBO Max.
I don't
That's
think
where it's
so.
at.
I don't spend money on shit.
He's like, I'm not spending no money on this. We might have something around that. I actually have it on Blu-ray, so I can loan you the discs if you want.
I don't have a Blu-ray player. I don't know. Figure it out. Whatever.
I'm trying here, man.
Wait, don't you have a PS4?
I do.
Then they have a Blu-ray player. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Let it, or is it time for some wisdom nuggets?
Well, I actually have been streaming some stuff. Thank you.
Oh shit! I thought we already talked to you.
Wow.
My bad.
Kick him in the nuts.
Well, I just want to throw out there, if you were concerned at all that the spin-off of American Horror Story, which is called American Horror Stories, was going to be watered down or not as good in any way. First 3 episodes are out right now. It's really good, and it's nice to the idea of giving these stories breathing room. Like the first 2 episodes is a 2-parter, which is a story that takes place in the murder house from season 1. The 3rd episode is a standalone story not based on any of the previous seasons, and it's excellent.
Nice.
And they tackle an urban myth, and it's got Kevin something Lynch, the guy that played the guy in Walking Dead who taught Morgan how to stick fight. That guy, great actor. He's in that and puts in a fucking amazing performance. It's basically the idea behind, years ago, a filmmaker made a horror film that made people go crazy and kill people.
Nice.
And if this is how this show is going to go, I'm also almost more excited for this than I am the regular show, which is coming back next month. It's been really good so far. The other thing I thought we had to bring up is, Netflix's Tila Revelations. I mean, Masters of the Universe Revelations. Have you seen that, Paul?
I don't have Netflix, so no.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, see, I thought this was going to be a shoe-in to talk about on streaming. I watched the whole thing in one sitting.
Nice. Is it? I've heard 2 sides of it. A lot of people, a lot of neckbeards are angry because it is the Tila show, but I've heard it's a great twist and it's actually compelling to watch.
It is. They're not wrong. Kevin Smith is a liar, and it totally is the Tila show. That being said, had they known it going in, I don't know if it would have changed their minds, but it's really good. And I'm not even saying it's good for what it is. It's good regardless.
Nice.
There's He-Man in the first episode. There's He-Man in the last episode. And this is only the first half of the season. So maybe, the second half, there's going to be more of that. Like Kevin Smith said on Twitter, Mattel isn't going to, give me the license to make a fucking He-Man show without He-Man. Come on.
Right.
So it sounds like that this is a setup for something more.
Yeah.
That being said, it was great. The animation's good. The voice acting is great. Lena Headey from GOT is also in that.
Yes.
And I enjoyed it. I'm not sure what the only thing about the show I don't like is how do you not use in some way, shape, or form that iconic theme music?
That's what I heard too. Yeah.
Does not appear even once. I don't know how you miss that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I am gonna have to buckle and probably resubscribe for a month or 2 just so I can get through all that. And then once Kylie finds out that we have Netflix, then she's gonna binge all of the Jurassic Park cartoons. So yeah, I definitely want to see it again, just because it was a Kevin Smith thing to begin with. But then it sounds really interesting from what I have heard already. So I think it's more of those, you have to wait for the second half of the season. Don't freak out now is kind of the way it should be. Yeah. So now, if I give everybody their say, since I'm kind of a dick about it tonight.
Oh, we can look at you.
Oh,
What?
Uh-huh.
All right. So you guys ready for a little wisdom nugget to finish things off again?
Yep.
All right. Never go to bed angry. Stay up and fight that shit out. Good night, everybody, and megabyte me, bitches.
This has been a GeekPod Network production.